Are you using AI in any way? Um,
Yes. So I use AI lots of times when crafting presentations. Even I will write an email
mhm.
and then I will put it through different AIs to say, oh, can you make sure this email has this tone? Um, basic, lots of times, especially when you're dealing with a sensitive issue or, um, you, you know, you're writing it and it may come off more harsh or aggressive than you necessarily want it to. Lots of times in the past, what I used to do before AI is I would write the email and then I would send it to myself and then basically take some time, read over it, and then make sure it had the right messaging before I sent it. Now with AI, I just run it through AIs to make sure everything is. The other is if I need, it's saved us time and efficiencies when you all of a sudden you need to throw together a presentation.
Welcome to the Systems Edge. I'm David Stowers, your host, and this is where we talk about operations, the good, sometimes the bad, but we try to get the curtain pulled back and try to get at operational inefficiencies, inefficiencies, things we can all learn from, and there's always a great nugget or two here with every conversation we have. And today, I'm excited. I have Chris Catterall from Allen Edwards with us, and I want to just welcome you to the show.
Thank you, David. I'm very excited to be on your show. This is my first
Thank you.
podcast, so
Great.
I'm a rookie, but hopefully I have some good insight.
Well, like I was just saying too before we went on air, I like just have a casual conversation. We try to keep it real low key. We'll keep it real, answers from the heart, just like we were just having coffee together and stuff like that. So hopefully that takes a little pressure off for you. But why don't we start off by having you tell everyone a little bit about your role, maybe what a typical day looks like for you guys. And if you want to get into what you guys do, put a plug in for your company.
Yeah, sure. I'm the Vice President of Business Development here at Allen Edwards. We are in the pipeline space and energy sector. We offer products for pipeline integrity and also new construction. Yeah, in my role, I have multiple hats. I have engineering reporting to me. I have sales. I have marketing. I have events, and then I also have our Canadian office also reports into myself because it's more of a sales office up there. So I have about 10 direct reports I get from inside sales to director level. It's a you know having having 10 is about the optimum. Any more than that, it can be uh take be time consuming.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what part of your work energizes you the most right now?
Well, right now I believe and so do a lot if you're reading anything about the markets and that we're going to be going through a pipeline boom here that we haven't seen for quite some time. It's all the requirement for natural gas for the data center boom that we're seeing because these data centers require so much power that our current grid system can't handle it. So there have to be a lot of self-generation at these facilities. So we're seeing, companies that you would be normally considered midstream companies or oil and gas companies now building power gen facilities next to the data centers and building new pipelines to service these. So
Hmm.
it's an exciting time. We think it'll probably be, at least hopefully a 5 to 10 year boom again.
Hmm.
Things can change as always, but right now we're seeing, just in the new construction bids, very extensive. So that's what's driving me on it.
Yeah.
It's always good to be on a boom side of things rather than a bust. I've been doing the energy sector for 30 years now, and I've gone through three busts in
Okay.
my career. So, it's always more exciting to be on the boom side.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Managing growth versus managing the some downward spiral for sure.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Laying off people and downsizing
Oh,
is never fun, very stressful. It's the worst part of being a manager, I guess, is having those difficult conversations. And because especially in a company that is such as Allen Edwards or even Equinox, my previous company, our employees aren't numbers; they're family. So it is very difficult when you have to make that decision.
absolutely.
Yeah, and then
Absolutely.
you have
Yeah.
to try and separate business from personal, but
Yeah.
it's still very difficult.
Yeah. 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 Um, walk us through the life cycle of your core products or services from first touch to delivery. What is and I know you told me you wear a lot of hats, so I know you know the answer to this. I mean, you hear business development and you think, I know it's easy for me to put that in a box, but you told me you wear a lot of hats,
Yeah,
and
sure.
it sounds like you would have to understand that anyways. But yeah, what's that look like?
So at Allen Edwards, we have a manufacturing arm. So when it comes to our products, such as our steel sleeves, our steel pipe sleeves, for those of yours that don't exactly know what that is, that's when a pipeline has an integrity issue, such as corrosion or uh, dent, or there are a couple ways to repair it. The most expensive is to, of course, cut the pipeline and replace the whole piece of pipe. But if it's not a crack or a catastrophic failure, what you do is you can either put a pipe sleeve, which is basically a piece of pipe, over top of the existing pipe and weld it. So you're really extending the pipe service for another 50, 100 years.
Wow.
Or you can use a composite wrap, which is like a graphite or a carbon fiber with a resin that you wrap the pipe. And depending on the anomaly, our calculator will tell you how many wraps you have to have. So when it cures, carbon fiber is actually harder than steel.
Hmm.
So, but getting back to, so in our manufacturing of the steel plate or the steel sleeves, so the steel arrives at our shop in a plate. Basically, just think of it as a sheet of plywood. So it arrives, it's different thicknesses, different grades, depending on our customers' requirements. So the first thing is it arrives at our shop. We UT, so basically do non-destructive testing of the metals to make sure. So we put it through our UT machine that does basically looking for laminations or any flaws that may have happened during the process of manufacturing the steel. If the plate steel passes, then it's moved over to our plasma cutter where we cut it into the dimensions that is required for the sleeve, such as if it's a 12-inch piece of pipe that this is going on, then the plasma cutter will cut it to the exact dimensions. Once it's cut, then it's taken over to either our hydraulic press that will bend it depending on the size, or a rolling machine that will then roll it into the perfect dimensions. And how we do it is a sleeve is basically a semicircle. So two of them go together when they are installed on the pipe. Two of them are put and then welded in so that they go over top of the pipe. So and throughout the the process, our QA QC team is constantly doing visual inspections, measurements, and then once it's manufactured and it has been QA QC'd, it is then put on pallets and put into our warehouse ready for shipment.
Okay.
At which
Okay.
point either the customer notified to send a truck to come pick it up, or we
Yep.
would ship it.
Gotcha.
And again, that's customer preference.
Yep.
And then once it's in the field, we can send a supervisor out there to supervise the installation. Or a lot of our other uh, pipeline contractors have been trained on our products, so they just can install it themselves.
Okay. Yeah.
That is definitely dependent on each customer is different, of course. So we send our products basically from our head office in Tulsa anywhere in North America, and then
Mm-hmm.
with our composite wraps, we'll send them anywhere in the world. Um,
Okay. Okay.
uh,
I
and then
appreciate
we
you
have,
sharing all that. That's good.
and then we're making it. In our growth strategy, we're looking at having certifying fabrication facilities in other parts of the world to our
Mm-hmm.
specs and standards, where we will get them to manufacture our steel sleeves for us,
Mm-hmm.
just because shipping across,
Sure. Yep.
it becomes cost prohibitive, actually.
For sure. For sure. So what are some key systems or platforms your business relies on then to get all that done?
Basically, since we're such a small company, you know, a lot of it, in my space, we have a CRM tool that tracks customers, the customer
Okay.
relationship management tool. We use a product, HubSpot, for our CRM. Another product that we use, it's called Zoom Info. It basically is a subscription that it's constantly up, going out and searching the web to have a basically real time updated customer list. So if someone changes companies, this system notifies us that their emails have changed, their phones change. So that's a service that my sales team uses on the system orders and tracking. I'm not exactly sure what accounting system we use, but they do have an inventory tracking system that monitors and makes sure that the paperwork and invoices are done, and then tracks the
Yeah.
payments
Yeah.
and all.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's a lot of different systems.
Correct.
I
It
mean, you
is.
got a lot of them. You got a lot of different
Yeah,
systems
we
happening.
do. Yeah, yeah, and we do, definitely we do.
Where do they work well together and where are they disconnected from your perspective? I mean, obviously if you're not involved in accounting, you wouldn't know, but
Yeah, yeah, no, it's I it's I think there's a lot of manual entry. So when I joined the company, they were just getting moving systems, and so there was a lot of manual entry, Excel spreadsheets. So I've gone in and started trying to automate some of those, especially on the quoting system,
yep.
where trying to make it as user friendly as possible, where any one of our team could easily generate a quote. Just because, uh, what happened is we had uh, our customer service lady. She'd been with the company for 30 years. So as part of the her anniversary, the company paid for her and her husband a trip anywhere in the world.
Oh, that's cool.
So when she was on vacation, it became very obvious that other people didn't quite fully understand the systems and how Jamie worked. Um,
Yep.
and and so the company realized, oh, we need to really look at this, because were to leave the company or decide she's going to retire, we would be in a whole lot of trouble. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. That tribal knowledge will get you in trouble
yes,
quick.
yes. So because of that is when I started to create my own sort of that
Okay.
allows it to that you can basically I can generate a quote uh, in about 5 minutes now, and have it printed and have it sent to back to the customer. And then it logs it, of course. But again, that was something that became obvious when one
Yeah,
key
for
person
sure.
wasn't there.
Yep, yep, yep. That was good in a way, right? That it happens sometimes is sort of like if she'd never been on that trip, we'd never known that
We would
we had a
never,
hole here that needed to be
and then all
filled.
of a sudden, she decides to retire, and we're like, oh no, right? And
Yeah.
and when you have those hiccups, disruptions
Yes.
really affect your business, or your
Yes.
customers, because all of a sudden, a customer wants a quote or a price. And usually with our products, yes, there are some customers that pre-plan and do bulk orders, and then have their products shipped to a warehouse so that they can pull it themselves when they need it. But a lot of our customers are, oh, we have a problem. Oh, we have this pipeline issue, and we need product now. And any minute, any hour delay is hundreds of thousands of dollars to them, right?
Sure, sure. Are there any other operational disruptions you've noticed since then that you're like, yeah, we need to fix this, we need to fix that too?
Well,
Like, it was probably an eye opener.
it is. So one thing that happened is we had over the holidays, and one of our manufacturing new hire on manufacturing, and he turned off the power, like the breakers in the manufacturing shop, and when they clicked them on, it put a surge through, and actually took out the hard drive of our UT machine. So that took, basically all of a sudden we didn't have any of the backup data because,
Right, right. You had it all on a server somewhere, and yeah, I've heard that story before. Yeah, yeah. Well, that definitely was a business disruption for sure. How about an operation? How about things like you were describing, for example, you're talking about describe for me. You said something about you're doing a lot of manual entry. Is there other areas you guys were doing manual entry you've been able to like automate or integrate and try to make it less manually entered? Is there other areas you found like that?
yeah, and yes, there was, in some of our, when you're so the business was decided that AE manufacturing or manufacturing arm would be a separate company from AE Inc., which is the mothership who I work for. And the reason that is so that AE manufacturing can then also manufacture or build stuff for other clients other than Allen Edwards Inc. But because of that, it when you're all of a sudden having arm's length transactions, you had to, there was issues with, like, uh, how do we tell them to do something? And so again, it was, okay, what process do we use to give them a purchase order? So we went through where we were every order, even if it was $100 order, for a piece of metal, to 100,000, to some are hundreds of thousands of dollars, but each one we had to create a PO. So it was, so then, we realized, okay, that's not the best use of
Hmm.
time, especially if you're taking it from this to that. There could be one, typo or something, and a typo and a part number all of a sudden means they're building something
Yep,
totally
yep,
different.
yep, yep.
So
That makes sense. Yep.
yeah, so that has now been automated, where we don't necessarily issue them to purchase orders. We just provide them our quote that we've sent to the client, and
Hmm.
the purchase order from the client. And so the sales team's responsibility is to make sure that those match
Hmm.
before it gets handed over. And then on the billing process, instead of AE manufacturing billing us on per purchase order, per order, they do it based on how many pounds of steel they bend for us, and they do that on a every 2 week cycle. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
they invoice us every 2 weeks for the amount of steel that they, and that just saves time and money on invoicing and tracking too, especially on
Sure.
the accounting side of things. So
Sure. Are there tasks that still live in spreadsheets, though, because it's just easier?
there definitely are. There, yeah, they're like a lot of my, tracking is still done on spreadsheets, where I'm tracking how many our sales versus our forecast. They used to have a software that did all of this, but the problem was is for the company our size, the software was kind of overkill,
Mhm.
and the licensing was quite expensive. $200,000 per annum, and they were only using a fraction of the horsepower. So the decision was to not renew and find something different. So in the interim, yes, a lot of the data is still tracked on spreadsheet.
Sure. Yeah, and that's common, by the way. It's normal. Obviously, we're all trying to find better ways to get at trusted data that we trust. So, where do you see the biggest ROI for better integration and automation happening then? Would it be hypothetically, I'm just throwing it out there, like maybe getting these reports
I
on a dashboard? I don't know.
Yeah, what our president is, he's very forward thinking. So what he ultimately wants is he wants e-commerce on our website where, our quoting system and that make it so user friendly that the clients can go in there and generate their own quotes and then pay for
Okay.
it.
Sure.
So that's the vision. He's even on the customer service having AI bots that the guys can use
Yes.
to answer most of their questions. Our products aren't necessarily the most complex, so there's only a few kind of key data points that we require to give you a solution.
Mhm.
We need to know your pipe diameter, we need to know your wall thickness, we need to know your pressure. But outside of that, really, that's it. So, and then of course, how many feet you need, right? So we
Yeah,
sell
it's a
our
simple quoting system is basically what you're
It's very
saying.
simple. So
Yeah.
we believe we can achieve this.
Sure.
We're,
Very
ne-
doable.
we're never going to get rid of the actual customer service where the people want to talk to a person.
Mhm.
We are a customer oriented company. Our motto, our company's mission is keep the pipelines flowing, but it's be very simple, be very transparent, so we want the customers to call us. To be honest, our boss does not like virtual meetings. He would prefer that we go in person. So um uh, and so lots of times I'm on a plane flying to Chicago to meet with BP because
Yeah.
our vision. So
It's your president's philosophy. Sure.
exactly.
It's leadership. Hey, if sales were to double this year, what would break first? In terms of I know keep in mind, high level, not in the nitty-gritty, but operationally, what do you think it could be department, it could be a system, could
Um
be like you'd be like, I'm missing this, or I wouldn't be able to do this, just high level.
Yeah, yeah, I think the thing that would ultimately probably suffer would be our schedules. I think, to be able to ramp up that quickly our manufacturing process to meet our current delivery times. It doesn't happen overnight, of course. So that would be what would break first is us being able to meet the customer demands
Mhm.
for getting our product to the site in a timely fashion.
Sure. Um, if you to help you do your job better, would better reporting help you? I'm just trying to picture, like, some of these things we talked about, like, would it if you had a dashboard, for example, is that the kind of thing that you go, "Yeah, that would be helpful," or it could
Yeah,
extract all this data from
yeah,
different places?
yeah. It would be, and I am creating it. It's just you know, I'm doing it after hours and
Yeah.
between my data job.
It's slow
It's slow
going, yeah.
going, but
Yep, yep.
eventually we'll get there. Still relatively new in my role. I've only been with the company since August.
Okay.
Still even building the trust factor with some of my
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
So some of them still are like, oh, who's this new guy? Shall I share my information with him? So
Yeah.
that takes time
Yeah.
to build that trust factor. Uh, because they're like, well, how we've had some turmoil in the company. It's like turnover, I should say, just from
Normal stuff. We leave it at normal stuff,
they're
right?
they're like it just takes time to build that trust.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, at the same time, you're trying to wrap your arms around the business and what it
correct.
does and even what numbers you'd even wanna have in a report.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
And our boss changes, like my boss changes his mind sometimes.
Yep.
Sometimes he wants to
Absolutely.
see how many sales that did we do last week, and then next thing
Yep.
is like, no, I don't want to say focus on sales. I want you to focus on how many contracts you've
Yep.
generated, and
Yep.
so yeah,
I would say one of the most common things we build as software developers for businesses is reporting systems that try to do what you just described, where they have a leader. And I'm speaking of one specifically. My son-in-law is actually related to the owner. It's his brother. And like when I hear what you just described, I'm like, oh my goodness, yeah. So one way they solve that, I'll just throw this out there, is they have built a reporting system. It grabs this, grabs that, put it in there, and then they can. I think the CFO is saving 5 hours a week just on pulling one report. Push a button, the report pops up. But then when the owner will say, "Hey, I really want this," they go build another report. So now they've got this huge long list of reports of things that he's requested over time. They're like, he may want that. Let's push that button. So yeah, yeah. So unpack that for me a little bit more. What would you, based on what you know now, what would you want to see in that reporting or that dashboard? If you were to, you're like, this would be a perfect world if I had access to this. Say, and obviously that goes back to what type of, we're trying to get ROI all the time. So
yeah.
where would it save the most time and the most pain for you or in your department or your people?
I think what I care about, or is who who are our top 10 customers,
Mm,
and and throughout my career, even on operations, when I was a few companies ago with Worley, one of the largest
oh, yeah.
engineering companies, and then Equinox. If you have your top 10, so if you focus 80% of your time and effort on your top 10 customers, that's where you get your ROI. But a lot of time, depending on the management style, some do a shotgun approach, and they want you to go out and basically go after everything and anything. And what you end up getting is a whole lot of nothing sometimes, because
Mhm,
you spending your effort chasing every little thing,
mhm,
instead of focusing on the clients and customers that do the most business with you. And what you end up happening is those customers then all of a sudden don't feel the love anymore. And
mhm.
so then they look at, they go, well, you haven't called me in 6 months. And so this guy's calling on me every day. So I'm going to move my business over here.
Yeah.
So, I've really structured my BD team to, okay, these are our top 10. And I went back, like I said, through different spreadsheets, through different systems we had for the past 10 years, and really, ranked it and looked at it, and said, okay, these are our clients that we focus on. Don't ignore the other ones, but really focus, your attention on keeping these companies happy. So that's what I look at
Mhm.
on my dashboard, and then I look at, okay, of course, are we getting the ROI from it?
Yeah.
Is our sales trending down with these customers, or are they trending up? Are they staying the same?
Mhm.
And then, of course, the other thing I'm looking at is our expenses,
Sure.
and where we're spending money, and are we getting return on our money?
When you say expensive, you're talking about in your department or just across the board?
across the board. So I have basically two different budgets that I look after. So I look after the sales budgets, but I also
Mhm.
look after the marketing and event budgets, and they're we keep them separate. So the business development is of course the client entertainment, the business travel to and from meetings, and then our event and marketing is social
Sure,
media,
sure.
going to conferences. So we just had a big conference here in Houston. It was called the PPIM. It's the Pipeline Pigging and Information and Integrity Management Conference.
Mhm.
We have Alan Edwards has been an exhibitor at this conference for 17 years. So it's okay. I know the cost of the conference. How much money are we going to generate out of this? Is it worth having a booth next year, or
Sure, sure.
should
Yeah,
we just
yeah.
send people to attend, or write papers instead of so so that's what I'm constantly looking at on a
If you could
basically.
snap if you could snap your fingers and have that dashboard, the boom, poof, it's there. What would kind of went into some of the little pieces of what it might look like, but what would be the impact of that on your business?
Efficiency. We can then switch it directions very quickly.
Okay. It's a
You
good
know,
answer.
so instead of try and be proactive rather than retroactive. Look at the trends
Yes.
and and be able to go, okay, this client it doesn't seem to be spending money. Okay, let's switch and go after this client that seems to be spending money, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It just meant better decisions, right?
yeah,
And
make better.
better, more profitable decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And then of course everybody wins when that starts happening across the board. So
Yeah,
then,
and then
that
like what happened last year, for instance. So the current administration changed or reduced the requirement for pipeline integrity, so that companies didn't have to necessarily do the integrity that they normally did in the past
Mhm.
for a year. So, that would be a trend that, okay, let's not focus solely on our sleeves and composites, which are on the integrity side. Let's focus on the new construction side and sell
Mhm.
our bags, our geo bags,
Yeah.
and our concrete weightings, and go out and at that point you're also switching your customer base, because you're integrity management, you're dealing with the oil companies and the owners of the pipelines. Where on the new construction, it's more focusing on the contractors, because they're the ones, when they're building a pipeline, they're building it on a lump sum construction bid. So
Mhm.
the concrete coatings, the bag weights, all that stuff is part of their scope. It's all of a sudden focusing your sales attention to a totally different group, totally different customer base, right?
Sure,
So
sure. Yeah.
having those trends, having that data like that, you can make those switches quickly, instead of going, oh, we just our business. When you look back at it over 6 months, and all of a sudden you realize, oh, our business is down 100% or 50% or 25%.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
As we wind things down here, I'm really curious about. I think a lot of businesses. Here's why I'm curious. A lot of businesses could benefit from reporting, benefit from better information, right? Like that's at the end of the day, it's what we're all trying to get faster, quicker, all the above. So, if without going into all the nitty gritty, but maybe what would, if you were to stare at a report or a bunch of reports, what would be some of the more ideal reports that would CRM sounds like factors in there because you're trying to track sales,
it does.
some accounting expenses, anything else you can picture that might show up in that kind of a environment. A little bit of everything,
A
right?
little bit of everything. So basically, costs. So because we're buying steel and stuff, so commodity pricing,
That's interesting.
so that we can, because we're buying, and steel prices can swing quickly. So having commodity pricing so that we can, adjust our pricing, uh, and notify our customers of pricing changes.
It makes a lot of sense. I never thought of that. You're right. Having just, especially when you're dealing with commodities, even having a ticker, right? So you got commodities pricing, you're going to have some CRM data, you're going to have accounting, probably maybe inventory, some expenses. Anything else you could foresee in there?
Inventory right now, inventory is kept on a spreadsheet for us.
Yeah, yeah. But if you were to pull it into a dashboard, it'd be inventory, you said expenses, and anything else you could picture on that dashboard or another report that would make sense?
It would it would always be nice to, have
This is a wish list. Yeah,
yeah,
you were dreaming, right?
you know, uh, like, and I know they have them. Like IRRs is a company that tracks projects and that. But the problem that
Mm,
I found is a lot of times their project database would go stale on them.
yes.
So if there was to really track real time projects, kind of like what Zoom Info does on for contacts, but track it, go through the web and track real time data on projects.
Yeah, yeah, and you're really kinda describing in manufacturing what they kinda call an ERP system, right? But everybody has an ERP system. It's
They
just that I've watched companies with hundreds of employees, their ERP system is still Excel at the end of the day, but it's still an ERP system. It sounds like and there's certain environments like yours too, where you see where custom ERP system is really required. Like, you're never gonna go out and be able to buy an off-the-shelf system that can do all the nitty-gritty detailed things that some companies have to deal with. So, yeah, it sounds like that's really what you would be chasing is like a custom ERP if I was guessing, right?
Yeah,
Because
like the system that I mentioned that we had before, and it just overkill was NetSuite. Yeah, it did what, but you were paying for everything else it did, right?
yes,
You
yes.
know what? And then like for even when I was at Worley, we used Salesforce as our CRM,
Yep,
and even at a company the size of Worley, where you're doing like $10 billion a year per annum, you were only doing using 5% of that software.
yeah, yeah. It's just overkill. It's just total overkill.
So yeah, so you're right. You have to kind of work with a developer to create an ERP. Now, at my
Yeah,
last company, Equinox, we did have a product that they built in house that basically had everything: timesheets, expenses, invoicing, estimation, all that, plus software, like all their procedures and document uh, all in one. The problem was there was one person that was the key developer. I was warned management. I'm like, you need to train other people, because
yo,
if that one person gets hit by a bus on the way to work, our whole everything is shut down. Like,
yep,
you
yep,
just
yep,
ruined your business. There is risk to that other. And you can companies don't like to be tied to a sole source developer. They don't like to be tied where a person can hold them hostage. So that
yep,
would be
yep.
but um, you're right. For us, it would be working with a developer to create something to.
Yep. It's interesting. I'll put a plug in for us here because we get called in sometimes. We're a team of 12 in West Michigan, and we get called in to do what you just described, where they want us as kind of like a second set of eyes and understanding on their system so that if their developers go someone else they can lean on
Mhm.
without having a big bill, right? All the time going. So there's definitely solutions out there for that. So I wind things down. I want to ask you just, are you using AI in any way?
Yes. So I use AI lots of times when crafting presentations. Um, Even I will write an email,
Mm-hmm.
and then I will put it through different AIs to say, "Oh, can you make sure this email has this tone?" Um, basic, lots of times, especially when you're dealing with a sensitive issue, or you, you know, you're writing it and it may come off more harsh or aggressive than you necessarily wanted to. Lots of times well, so, in the past, what I used to do before AI is I would write the email and then I would send it to myself and then basically take some time, read over it, and then make sure it had the right messaging before I sent it. Now with AI, with AI, I just run it through AIs to make sure everything is. The other is if I need, it's saved us time and efficiency when you all of a sudden you need to throw together a presentation and you say, okay, these are the key points I want to talk about. Can you please generate, a 5 slide presentation on this because it's something that just popped in your calendar and you had
Absolutely.
hardly any time to prepare for it, right? Um,
Absolutely.
so
Yep.
so yes, we do
Absolutely.
we definitely use AI in the business,
Yep.
but
Yep. That's great. Yeah, and that's how I hear a lot. That's where it starts. That's where it starts, sure. Hey, thanks for walking us through all of that. You gave a really honest picture of how your business works, not just, how it looks on a website, right? And that's exactly why I do the show. Every company has its own unique operations, patterns that are underneath that are really some ways surprisingly similar. And a lot of operations, are in the process of always reorganizing themselves. And hopefully there's some nuggets there that someone's going to go, yeah. And sometimes they can relate and it's just all they needed for the day, right? So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I really appreciate you taking time today. It's been great. It really, really has been.
No, no, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, you bet, David. Okay.